And we are live. Awesome. Cool. Well, welcome in everyone. Um, as usual, we will give it a couple of minutes, let everybody come in. Hope everyone is having a great Thursday so far. It's been rainy over here on our side of the world. I don't know where
It's raining.
everyone's tuning in, but yeah, not too cold though, which has been nice.
Yeah,
Still
that part's
rainy.
really
Yeah, it's kind of what kind of warmed up a little bit, which has been
Did you get to see the sun just a little bit today?
just like a few minutes. Yeah,
Yeah.
just a few minutes. Other than that, it's been raining cats and dogs. So cool. All right. Well, welcome to. I don't really have a name for what I'm doing yet, so I just say welcome back. And but tonight we actually do have somewhat of a title, mastering mortgages or mortgage mastery. Yeah, mortgage mastery.
Love
So yeah, so just to kind of give a little bit of background for my guest and for those who are jumping on, like usual, if you're watching this on a replay, put hashtag replay in the comment. If in the comments, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in at any given time. This is something that I like to keep fluid, like to keep loose, and be very conversational and very engaging. So, if at any time you have any questions, want to know more, all that good stuff, feel free to put them in the comments. But without further ado, I would like to welcome my guest on. She is actually here local in Dawsonville, Cumming, Georgia area as well. And Mrs. Sam Fraser is with GFS Loans. Still getting used to that one. But she brings with her a wealth of knowledge. We'll be asking her some questions, kind of going back and forth and just sharing some dialogue. But I wanted to bring her on because, like I said last time, I really like to kind of keep my thumb on the pulse of, what questions y'all are asking as I'm doing consultations, what questions I'm hearing out, in the metaverse and social media world, and just, on Google in general. And so one of the big ones that has really been popping up, especially lately with so much happening with interest rates, with the world of lending, and just, inflation and everything else that's going on anyway, is with buying and selling homes. So I thought, what better use of tonight than to bring on the expert herself and really just kind of give us a peek into her world and yeah, see if we can't get y'all some questions answered. So welcome, Sam.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Jordan.
You're very welcome, and thanks for jumping on. I know it was a little bit of a last minute notice, so
No
appreciate your
worries.
flexibility.
No worries. We all work in between all of our schedules in life, right?
Isn't that the truth? Yeah, we all have our own different, you know, running 6 different ways, and we just kind of make it work. So cool.
Yeah, hopefully
Well,
we won't have any run-ins with children or husbands running in here while we're doing this.
right. Exactly. Yeah, I've got 4 dogs downstairs, and
Uh-huh.
wife is doing something in the other room. So yeah, maybe we won't have any
No.
mishaps, but
Yep.
you never know. You never know. So, well, cool. Well, first and foremost, tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your background, and ultimately what brought you to the world of lending.
Sure. So I am a native Georgia girl. So Georgia Peach here, born and raised. I've had a wealth of, I guess you could say, financial backgrounds. Fresh out of high school, I decided to become a realtor at 19, 18. So I really thought that was a great idea in life. Never having owned a home, didn't know anybody, didn't like meeting strangers. So clearly that didn't work out. That wasn't the best for me to start with. So I got into banking, which I really enjoyed for 10 plus years. Got to know a lot of people, got to know, a lot of different sides of finance, you could say. And then I decided to leave banking and work for some zoning attorneys. So that also taught me a lot of things that have helped me today in the mortgage world, because I got to learn what's going on in Forsyth County, few surrounding counties, what does zoning mean, what to look for. So I've been able to help even realtors today, kind of determine the properties they're selling or the buyers buying it, what they're zoned and what they can do with it sometimes. Um,
Nice.
so that's really kind of shaped into helping with the mortgage world. I decided to get into it after I had kids. And we all know the corporate world, 8 to 5, it's not really conducive with sports and after school anything. So it was really hard for my husband and I to juggle 2 corporate jobs with 2 kids in sports. So reached out to a friend in the mortgage business, and that was it. I mean, that was all she wrote.
That
Jumped
was it.
in head first, quit a full-time salary job, and went to full commission. So I
Wow.
haven't looked back. This is my 7th year in the mortgage world. So it's been a ride. I have loved it. I love helping people. At times, like everybody, it can be stressful, but it's rewarding too to get people into a new home.
That is awesome. Wow. I I knew a lot of that, but still there was some I didn't realize the zoning and that kind of
Yeah.
set you up, right? Like whether you knew it or not, that
Yeah,
kind of set you up to be
it
where
kind of
you
did.
are today.
And it's weird because I really liked the zoning department, and that most thought it was boring. And I found it very interesting to know everything that was happening in the county with building, because I do like houses. So, I kind of got a glimpse before everybody
Kinda
else
makes
did.
sense. Yeah,
Yep.
I can imagine, especially 7 years ago, what a different world that was
Yeah.
back then
100.
versus today.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, cool. Well, yeah, I mean, obviously speaking of, changes and like I was saying earlier, a lot of moving parts, especially in this world with interest rates, seemingly changing weekly, if not daily,
Daily,
um,
hourly,
daily,
by
hourly.
minute.
If we kind of zoom out a little bit to like a 30,000-foot level, are there any, um, I guess, macro level trends that you're seeing right now?
I think the trending days may be over, to be honest, because
Okay.
um, what people used to be able to predict and kind of see the trends, I feel like have now become a train wreck, to be
Oh,
honest.
wow. Okay.
I think, a lot of people predicted we were already going to have lower rates. I think one prediction was March. Here we are in
Yeah.
April at the highest rates we've had since, I think, October, November of last year. They're already back to levels higher than that.
Wow.
The next
Okay.
round maybe is saying they're not going to go down till the election or after the election. I mean, last year they were supposed to go down and went to 8%. So, I mean, to be fair, I think the trend is unknown. Like that is the trend. It's unknown. There's a lot of variables, and I think that has scared a lot of people. Whether it's scaring them into buying now or it's scaring them into making them wait. There's just a lot of unknown and a lot of fear out there, which is hard because as a homeowner, I know the benefits of it, but I think a lot of it is education, like we're doing, helping to educate people is a trend. It should be a trend. Education should be the forever trend to make the best decision for you and your family. I can't hear you. I don't know what happened. I'm glad I can read lips. Can you hear me? I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yep. Yep. I don't
Okay.
know what happened.
I don't know I've got two different profiles with this
It's a
microphone.
rainy Thursday.
It is, yeah. It's the technical issues. I don't know so. So what I was going to ask was then, based off of that, would it be a fair assumption to say that maybe then in that case, maybe the trends aren't as um, shouldn't be looked at as gospel per se, but and more so what you're needing to do, I guess, is where what I'm getting at is like if there's a goal that you have, such as home buyership, maybe not putting so much into what you see on maybe the news or reading the newspaper, and just going after what you're after.
I mean, I think that's a fair point because I think if we all just listened to the news and what the gossip was every day, we probably wouldn't do anything.
Yeah.
So I think
Right.
I've had to change my own mindset, to just live now. Try to live now. I mean, you've got to plan for the future as best as you can, but I think it's going to be different for everybody's situation. And, some people may be ready to buy now. You're muted. And then others, they may need to wait. So I really just think it depends on you. You back?
There we go.
There we go.
I don't know what it's
I don't
Tuesday,
know what's
or
happening.
it's the rain. I'm not gonna
It
move
is.
any
It must
equipment.
be.
I apologize.
Um,
Go ahead.
that's okay. I think that's it. I mean, I think at this point, educate yourself with the experts. And by the experts, I don't mean the news or the internet. I mean your loan officer experts, your
Yeah,
realtor experts, your credit experts. And not all of us are experts, guys. So get references. I hate to say it, but you need to know who you're working with so that you know how to be educated properly.
that's that's a great, very, very valid point. I feel like that should be whatever you're trying to accomplish, but even more so, especially whenever it's something as big as a financial purchase.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, do the
yeah,
numbers. The facts don't lie, right? I mean, if you're sitting
exactly.
pretty, paying $500 a month in rent and you're happy where you are, you're not going to find a $500 mortgage anywhere. I mean, you just have to know where you're at. If you've outgrown your place and it's time to move and you have the money and you can afford it, I mean, go for it, guys. I mean, homeownership can be great for the right people at the right time.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Um, so that actually leads me into my next question that I wanted to ask. So, um, if there was, and I feel like I'm trying to like boil it down to just a few nuggets, and that's not my intention. But if there was like one thing that you would say was the most important, like to keep in mind, as someone navigating the waters, through mortgages, through the home buying process in general, what would you give them as far as advice goes?
You got to have the credit, you guys. Period. The end. I mean, you can fix other things, but without credit, you're not going anywhere. You can find money somewhere, you can pay off some debt, you can get a better job with better paying income, but if you have bad credit or no credit, there is zero mortgages for you. So for me and helping people with credit too, I mean, it is crazy important to not just have credit, but have good credit and take care of your credit. I mean, it is super, super important to take care of your credit because without good credit, with a good head history, it's just not going to happen at all.
That's awesome. Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. I wasn't expecting that answer, but yeah, I couldn't agree more.
I mean, you can change a lot of things, but and you can change your credit, but it takes a
Yeah.
lot more work to raise your credit than it does to raise some funds, let me tell you.
So actually that brings up another good question. So there was one um okay. So yeah, so let me ask you about that. Let's dig into that for just a second. So specifically from the lending side. Um actually let me start here. So from the credit consulting side, I'm looking at different things when I'm doing a consultation, around what their accounts look like, around what type of delinquencies they have, that sort of thing. From the lending side, though, can you tell us a little bit about like what red flags are you looking for? When it comes to yes, their credit, but also just their financial situation in general.
You're cutting out. Hold on.
Is it cutting out again?
Yeah. I don't know if it's you or me.
I don't know. Uh,
Okay, I can hear
can
you
you still
now.
hear me? You can hear me now?
Yeah.
Maybe I was too far from the
Yep.
mic. Okay.
So, like specific things, what we like and don't like on credit, or mainly what we don't like, probably.
Yeah. Yeah, like what was the absolute no goes, and then maybe a couple that they could kind of squeak by depending.
The worst things are definitely mortgage lates. If you currently own a
Late.
home,
Okay.
yeah, mortgage lates are the
Oh,
worst.
mortgage lates.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, mortgage lates you can't get around. You have a certain number of mortgage lates and you're done. Like you're done. Period. The end. Those are some of the worst.
Okay.
Um, and by mortgage
Good to know.
lates, I mean a 30-day here and there, depending on the program. You get into a 60-day mortgage late, and that is a definite no for minimum a year, and then it has to disappear. So that one's a definite
Okay.
no. Um, you definitely don't want to have lates, guys. I mean, if you're paying late on a $40 minimum payment, I don't think a lender is going to want to give you a mortgage. Not to mention your
Right.
creditors don't like it, so they're going to dump your credit. And correct me if I'm wrong. I think we talked about this maybe last week, but one late payment, doesn't it knock your credit like 40 or 50 points?
I've seen higher than that. Yeah, I've seen as high as 100 points. In fact,
That's
it depends.
one 30-day late, guys. I mean,
One.
that's crazy. Not
Yeah.
one, like just one. If you have one on three different accounts, that's three lates. You're talking your credit is garbage now. It's garbage.
Yeah.
So if you are struggling to pay your bills, A, let's not talk about a mortgage anymore because that's not in your best interest. But B, try and renegotiate terms with your creditors to help you not be late. Get rid of that debt somehow. Get another job for a minute. I mean, it's hard. So mortgage lates, horrible. All lates are bad. If you have repossessions, and what I mean by that is, guys, when you go drive your car back to the lot and you say, I can't afford it. Yeah, they don't take kindly to that. That's a repossession. So us lenders don't like that at all.
Okay.
Foreclosures are terrible. Bankruptcies are terrible. They each have time limits. So if you go file a bankruptcy, which people do it, guys, you have to sometimes file bankruptcy and you can't help it. You just know that your time clock has stopped for a few years. But if it's the only way to clean up your credit, then you have to do it. You just know, clean it up, don't do it again. And you have a few years to wait for a mortgage. So I don't know, Jordan, that's sticky because there's so many things that affect your credit and so quickly. But definitely the
Yeah.
quickest way to put your credit in the tank, I would say, is a late payment for sure. A
Late payment.
collection and a late payment are going to take you down faster than the Titanic, probably.
Yeah. No, yeah, I agree with that. And I like what you said about talking with creditors because at a certain point it is too late. Like once it hits
Mhm.
delinquent status, then it's too late at that point. It's out of anybody's control. But it's kind of like if you're a renter, you want to go talk and you're having financial difficulties. You want to go talk to your landlord sooner rather than later. Good
Yeah.
news is better than bad news, right? And bad news doesn't get better with age. So,
No.
if it's the same with your creditors, if you know that you're going to be late, go ahead and call them and let them know.
Get
Like you
ahead
said,
of it.
renegotiate, get ahead of it. Exactly. So that's
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
great advice.
if they know, sometimes they will delay in reporting it and give you a few extra days. I mean, they may not, but it's always worth an ask because I mean, if you're struggling, you're struggling, and sometimes it just is what it is, and there's nothing you can do about it. But making that phone call could save your credit potentially for at least another month.
Yeah. Yep. Um, so that brings up a good point. So if let's say worst case happens and they do, get whatever, the collection, the, you know, uh, foreclosure, whatever, and they're just kind of in that situation, whatever it would be. Um, if there's someone out there listening who may be thinking that, they need to buy another home or they had to go back to renting and they just think that, owning a home is not in the cards for them. What kind of advice could you give them?
I mean, I put many credit plans together, and you and I've talked about this. As a credit person, that's what you do. But as a good lender, sometimes we don't need you all the time, Jordan, because it's an easy fix, and that's okay.
Right. Yeah.
But there's a lot of times where I can't help. So somebody who, maybe had those late payment, I just had it happen to clients. I mean, it just happened out of the blue, and they were struggling and they called me to do a refinance, and by the time we were able to start, their credit just tanked, and so we had
Wow.
to start a new plan over. um and sometimes it's time and money are the only things that can fix your credit, unfortunately. And a good credit repair person, when I can't help, I mean, if it's just paying down debt, it's time and money, guys. It really is. You don't need to call a credit repair person if you were overextended on your credit card. You just have to pay
Yeah.
it down. Now, if you go and pay your things late and you get collections, even medical collections, which most of us can't avoid, medical expenses are a lot, and you get that medical collection, it's not going to affect you buying a house, but it's going to affect your credit enough to where you may not be able to buy a house. So that's where you can come in. And, if I can't put a plan together, and I have different timelines, sometimes if you don't have the money, your timeline's on you. If you have the
Good
money
to
to pay
know.
your
Yeah.
debt down and pay your collections off, it can be immediate. I mean, I've had people that pay their credit cards down next day. I can do a rescore. I get the paperwork, I do a rescore. We're talking 5 to 7 days later, and their credit is fixed. Now that's
Nice.
rare. You have late payments and collections. It's not a quick fix. You have to get those things deleted, or again, time, because the late payments, you can't delete them. You're talking a year before they start to maybe fall off, and think about seasoning, and your credit not being affected as much for the late payments. So I hate to say it, but the lates and the collections, the medical debt and all that, that's when you got to call you, Jordan, because you have other methods to help maybe get rid of them, where I can't get rid of lates no matter what I do.
Gotcha. No, that's valid. And um that kind of goes back to what I was talking about. I know you weren't on the last video, but we were kind of discussing that like, if you don't have a plan, whether it be trying to buy a home or just something as simple as, money management with your budget, you don't have a starting point. And so that's really important. And you know, yes, life happens and you need to keep it fluid, but having that plan is super important. So that's yeah, good
Having a
stuff.
plan is super important. And a lot of times people are just fumbling, right? They're like, I'm just going to pay off all my debt. And I'm like, that doesn't always work.
Yeah.
You have to know the right people to know where to start, what you need to pay off. And sometimes it's opening new credit. I know that's scary for a lot of people, but you may need to open new credit so that your lenders and your creditors know that you're responsible with the little credit before they give you all this big credit. So, you just have to reach out to the right people and look. I've had lenders that muck things up and they end up coming to me. And sometimes my advice isn't always the best, but it's what we have. So
Right.
if we put a plan in place and it takes longer or things happen in the meantime that negatively affect you again, that's not something we can predict as either a lender or a credit person. So when we give you guys a plan, it's in your best interest to follow it from start to finish in the timelines we give you, because it's all important. And if you don't do that exactly how we tell you and nothing else changes, you're probably going to have to start all over again.
Wow. I'll make a little side note. One thing that you mentioned, which can be very advantageous, is opening a new account. But one
The
of the
type
things
of
that
account.
I was about to say, so that doesn't necessarily mean you want to go out and buy a new car while you're waiting to get your new home.
You want that revolving credit, right?
Yeah, yeah,
I don't
exactly,
want an
exactly.
installment loan, guys. Don't get those secure financial. Don't get I don't need any of that. That's
The
not helping your
firm
credit.
and
I haven't seen it help your credit. The installment loans, the short term, haven't
yeah,
seen it help.
okay, that's good to know. That's good to know. So like the op loans and the affirms and the Klarna, all those buy now pay later
I
installment
don't
loans.
want to. I don't want to see any of those. And I will tell you lately, the Klarnas, who I just found out about last week, no lie, had no idea that existed.
Did you really?
And the Affirm accounts, they don't always report it to credit. And we find it out during the loan that you have more debt than we thought you did.
Ooh, interesting. Okay,
That just started. So no, I'm like a no for the
interesting.
Klarnas, a no for the Affirms, a no for the secure finance. None of that, because if
Yeah.
they do report it, it probably is a lot longer than it should be, and that will mess up your loan in the middle of the process.
Wow. Okay.
That just started coming up on my side, like on every single loan the last couple months.
I think it was the end of last year where they said they were going to start reporting them. Those smaller little buy now pay later loans, which most people don't understand. That's what they are. Is they are loans,
Yeah.
and you're
We
expected
don't
to
want to
pay
see
them back.
loans. Yeah,
No,
the loans
no.
aren't helping your credit. That just puts more debt. And it's closed ended, you guys. And Jordan, you can confirm, but closed ended debt means you have to pay it. You're not any more responsible than, let's say they give you a $50 a month payment. That's it. A credit card, you can go spend $100, $500. The payment changes. It varies, and they need to know that you're responsible paying any of those payments. If you're going to go
Yeah.
spend more money, they want to know that you can pay that money back. So for a creditor, they're looking at that as those are the adult kinds of things you do. The whole car loan, everybody can do that. The adult things are the credit cards. Can you get approved for a credit card? Can you not max it out? And can you pay it on time?
Beautiful. Couldn't have said it any better. Awesome.
I feel like
Well,
I should be on your side.
no, yeah, I appreciate it. I mean, this is all really good stuff, and it's interesting, right? Because like I know a lot of times I'm not quite so sure. Like, if I'm trying to help them out in this position, I'm like, okay, am I aligning with what you need on your side,
Mhm.
right? And so it's good to I'm learning a lot as well, and it's good to know that what I'm not just teaching them, but what I'm trying to help them achieve is ultimately what you're needing them to achieve as well. So it's good stuff.
I mean, I will say the only things that I really see that help are authorized users with good accounts and new credit cards that can use them well. That's it. Nothing else is that I'm seeing that's affecting it positively. No self-reported utilities, none of that.
Okay, so like for instance, Experian Boost, not really seeing a big lift.
I don't know if Experian Boost works or not because that doesn't show up for me
Okay,
on
good
my
to know.
side. I can do a simulator that shows me what a credit card will do, what paying this down. There's no option to put in like self-reported rent, Experian Boost, none of that. So
Okay,
I can tell you the self-reported rent stuff. I don't think that works. And for
okay,
me, I don't want to see it because I'm excluding it anyways. Um,
interesting.
and that
Okay,
always comes up questions with underwriters. With the self-reported utilities, they start questioning those sometimes. So for me, I'd rather not see them. Experian Boost may work. I I don't really know how to test that theory on my
sure.
end.
Okay, let's talk about the. Let me ask you a little bit more about the rent reporting though,
Okay.
because from my side, it just seems like a no brainer if they're able to report something that um, looks like, a mortgage and kind of acts like a mortgage in terms of what it's showing to the credit bureaus and then to future creditors. Is that is that wrong then in that assumption? Is that not something they should be?
So I would say that I think I've only ever seen that one time.
Okay,
So
where
I
it
really can't
helped
test
or just
that one. I don't know.
okay. Okay.
Um, I don't know. Now, having a good rental history is sometimes a must, period, because we do have
Yeah.
to verify that. So,
Okay.
I don't know if it does get reported on their credit, if it would be easier for us to verify it then if we needed it. I don't know if
Okay.
it's going to affect their credit or not as far as the score. I honestly, that one, you lost me on that one. I mean, I want to say it should be positive.
Well,
I
that's
just don't know.
so
It can't be negative, right? The reporting the
sure.
rent,
Yeah.
unless they make a late on their rent, which
Unless
again, people
right.
do. So that
Yeah.
could be a scary one, Jordan, because well, you know why it could be scary. Because if they
Yeah.
get in a bad situation, it seems like the first people do is stop paying the biggest thing, which is so hard to see because that's going to impact you the most.
Right.
So that
And
one's a
that's
tough one for you and me because if you report it and they automatically have that late, but we don't have
mhm,
to verify it, that might
right.
open a can of worms we didn't need to open.
Interesting. Okay. Interesting. So I do have a program that will report going back to when they first moved into wherever they're currently living. But that may be something that I look into on my side because I know that they won't report if it is late because the whole idea is to help them build positive
Okay.
credit. But with
If they
that
won't
being
report the
said,
late, great.
though, wouldn't that technically create a false narrative? Like that's
It
let's say there
could.
are 5, late payments in the course of 6 months. I mean, I guess
Now, I don't have
well,
to verify rent every day. I will say
okay.
that. Some scenarios it has to for me to move forward with the loan, but those are your struggling clients, I would say. The ones that I have to go the extra step to make sure that they have paid their rent. I just don't have to do that often. So you're right. What if that did create a false narrative where I'm thinking because I'm seeing their rent was
Right.
paid on time and then I'm like, yay. And then I go have to verify it and it is not true. Yeah,
Well,
that could have been
maybe not necessarily that it's showing something false, but that I guess
right.
no, it would probably take care of itself because let's say you're renting for 6 months and you have late payments for 3 of those. 3 months isn't going to show up. So I guess maybe that would take care of itself. if it's just not on there, you could deem that as, I don't know, interesting, food for
That's
thought.
a good one. That's a good one to dig into some more for sure.
Yeah.
We should
Okay.
look into that. I may ask my underwriter to see if they deal with that ever, because yeah, I've only
Yeah.
ever seen it once and it really
Okay.
didn't affect anything. So
Okay. Um, I have a couple other questions, but I kind of just wanted to ask: is there, as we're starting to wrap up, and I know you have to go here soon, is there anything else you wanted to add that our audience should know?
say that again because you cut out on me.
I'm sorry.
Or
Is
I
I
cut
was
out on
just,
you. I'm not really sure.
I don't know. I can hear you okay. But is
Okay.
there, I just was wondering, is, as we're starting to wrap up, is there anything specific that you wanted to add? Is there anything else that the audience should know from the lending world?
I mean, if you're trying to buy a house, first of all, if you're young, okay, let's say if you're 17 to 20 and nobody has taught you how to build credit, please call me or Jordan like right away. Um, because when you're young, that starts all of your trends, all of your good habits, all of your bad habits. Everything you need to know about credit is probably happening between like 17 and 20. That is going to, you know, ride the train for the next however many years. So that is my first tip. Teach your kids young. And if you didn't get taught well, please don't teach your children. Okay. If you were raised that cash is king, you don't need credit. I love you guys, but please don't teach your children that, because without credit, they always have to pay cash. You can never get a loan. No cars, no credit cards, no home loans, nothing. So please, let's break those cycles first of all. I respect, mad respect for anyone that can pay cash for everything. I cannot. Never have been. I love those people. But this generation, everything is so much more expensive and nobody likes cash anyways. So you've got to have credit. I mean, somewhere along the lines, you've got to have good credit, not bad credit. So if you are thinking about buying the house in the next 5 years, 2 years, please call one of us. If you don't even know what your credit looks like, let's help you. If you say you don't know what your credit score is, chances are it's not good. That's
Right.
the um the statistics that I have found in this business is when I ask what your credit score is and the answer is I don't know, it's usually not good. Or you don't have any, which is not good. So get credit first of all. Learn how to be responsible with credit, because it's not always just about opening a card or loans. It's about managing them, paying them properly, on time, early. And you have to rinse and repeat a lot. You can't just have one thing and your credit be good. So get with a professional if you're trying to buy anything. If you're young, just reach out to us and we can start your credit journey just to be ready in life for whatever you need. Secondly, I was young and dumb. Okay. None of us saved money when we were young and none of us had great credit. We all maxed our credit cards out. I feel like that's a lot of teenage years. And you know what? It was great. But budget, guys. I mean, I had to learn to budget at a young age because I got married young. I had kids young and there were lots of bills to pay. So I still, in my late 30s, write all of my bills down on paper. On paper,
Wow.
make a spreadsheet. Every single month, I get paid twice a month. So I literally have the 1st through the 15th, what I make in my bills over here, and the 16th through the 30th or whatever over here. And most of my bills don't change, but I budget for everything, you guys. I put a grocery budget, a gas budget, a play budget, a save budget, an extra budget, because you guys want to eat out, you want a vacation, and I do put that in my save, but sometimes you want to be spontaneous. So you got to have all those buckets, you guys. And for me, it's so fun. Like I hate paying bills, but it's so fun to like when you actually have money left over, it's fun. When you don't, it
Yep.
sucks, but budget, you guys, because if you start here and all your bills are more than you bring home, there's an issue.
Yeah.
So know what you make, like know what you bring home. We all know what you make is not what you bring home. Know what you bring home every pay cycle, and you put certain bills in certain budgets, you guys, so that you know that you're okay for that pay period bucket, and you get in the habit of that. And let me tell you, it's life changing. When I was broke, Jordan, I would go to the bank and get my cash out and put it in envelopes, and I would
Yeah.
label it groceries, gas, extra, eating out, right? Bills. Well, my bills were automatic, so I didn't usually take cash out for those. But that is what I did. I went to the bank every other week. I got that certain cash out. When that was gone, that was it.
You're gone. Yeah.
And I don't do that anymore because it's not fun to go to the bank anymore and spend all that time. But it is so important to get a budget, and anyone can probably help you do a budget that knows anything about finances. It can be your best friend if they know what they're doing. And it's as simple as you make this, and here's your bills. Here's what's left over. Now, what do you do with it? I taught myself that. My mom is
Super
great
important.
with money, but I still taught myself that at an early age, because you find yourself like, why do I have $1 in my account after I got paid? Well,
Well,
how
and
am I
let's
going to?
face it, we're not going to listen to our parents anyway. So,
We're not going to listen to our parents. I didn't listen to my parents. So, take advice from others that have worked, or take advice from the ones that have struggled and now are successful, because there's a reason they got there.
it's a great point. Great point.
Yeah. Sorry,
Wow.
I probably took up way more time than we were
No,
thinking.
no, that was great. That was spot on. Thank you. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. That was fantastic.
Thanks for having.
Um, you're very welcome. One last question, just out of curiosity. We don't have time to go into it very deep tonight, but it's something that I'm starting to get into around the wealth management side of things. Is specifically around like solar and solar homes. Have you had to do any solar home loans? I know it's very new here in Georgia as far as just the populace in as a total. I know there's it's a
Sure.
lot more popular down south, but have you had to do any
I
of those?
I want to say no. There may have been one, because there's a
Okay.
lien on it, right? Is there a lien when you get solar, or am I
It
mistaken?
it
on that?
depends. It depends on the financing company you go through.
Okay.
Some of them in the past have placed them on the house.
Okay.
Most of them these days just place them on the machine itself.
Okay.
Um,
So probably
yeah.
not. I have seen
Okay.
some houses lately with solar on them, but I have not, I don't believe, had to go through that on the loan side yet.
Okay. And maybe we'll revisit that at a future date then.
Yeah, for
That may
sure.
be a topic for another day. Okay.
Okay.
Cool. Um, Last but not least, I know people are going to have 100,000 more questions. Where can they find you? How can they get in touch with you?
They can find me many different ways. They can call me at 678-522-5548. Text me,
Cool.
call me, find me on Facebook. I mean, you just look me up, Samantha Fraser. I always say it wrong because I can, but it's spelled Fraser. And my email is also Fraser at gfshomeloans.com.
Perfect. And I'll put that in the comments as well, so in case there's any typos or whatnot, so they can just
Yeah, and
save
I
that.
mean, they can just call me with any questions. It doesn't have to be, "Hey, I want to get a loan right now." It could be like, "Hey, I need your help with my credit." And then
Awesome.
I'll probably direct them to
And
you. But
no, that's I mean, either which way we can tag team either which way.
yeah,
Love working with you on these projects. And then last but certainly not least, I know we're here in Georgia. Are you in any other states?
I am. I am in Georgia, Florida, Alabama, Tennessee. I can also help
Wow.
in North Carolina and South Carolina. I mean, we're licensed in a lot of states, but I'm officially licensed in those four that I mentioned, besides the Carolinas.
Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, Sam, it's been a pleasure. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks
And
for having me. That was fun.
you're very welcome. It was fun. Yeah. And you're more than welcome anytime back. I'm sure we'll do more again in the
Yeah,
future.
invite me anytime.
Awesome. Well, stay dry. And
Yeah.
until then, y'all have a good
See you
night.
later. Bye.
Bye.